Hi, my name is Jeff Dalrymple, and this is Stephen Foster. He is our STC coordinator here at Conway Middle School. Just a couple questions for you. First off, explain your procedures for technology, inventory.
Markham to the car rider line. Haley Markham to the car rider line.
Try again. Explain your procedures for technology, inventory, maintenance. How often do you take inventory? When do you take inventory? And who do you share that data with?
Well, inventory is required by the district once a year. Basically, anytime we get a new computer, I add it to the inventory that I have, and then periodically I will go around, usually about twice a year, I'll go around and just double check the computers that I knew where they were supposed to be are still in the same spot, check the serial numbers and the asset tag, and just keep it on a specific spreadsheet that the district gave me.
Taylor Knurcher, come to the office.
That's required to be submitted to the district once a year. District then takes that, puts it in a bigger file, and submits it to the state once a year.
Explain the procedures and guidelines that are used in planning and purchasing the technology for our school.
Well, we have to adhere to all of JCPS's guidelines, and to be honest, I don't know how many of them there are, because there are a lot. But our guidelines fall underneath the state as well. So, like, for example, iPad minis are not, while they're usable in the classroom, they don't meet state guidelines for an instructional device. So we couldn't use those, but we have to follow, there's a certain minimum screen size, a certain minimum speed processor that we're required to follow, and a certain amount of memory that they're required to have to be able to buy them. Plus, then they have to be on the district bid list, so somebody's had to bid it. Like right now,
ILT will begin in 5 minutes. ILT will begin in 5 minutes.
like most of the computers that we get now are either HP, Dell, or Lenovo, because that's all that's on our bid list, and we have to follow those guidelines.
Do you just make those decisions, or are they made by administration and you, a committee?
They send us a list each year based on our average daily attendance and that big inventory that we send to the state. The district decides how much money we get each year for technology from what they call KETS funds. And then once they give us that list, they give us a price list of stuff we're allowed to buy on it. I look at it and write down what my recommendations are, and then I talk to the principal about them. Then we meet with the technology committee to discuss what we want to get and what we don't. So I don't make the final call, I just make my recommendations first before because I know some of the priority areas that we need to replace things.
What techniques are used to maintain the technology that we have?
If something, like for example, software updates, the district has us actually not mess with software updates unless, say, I'm re-imaging the machine because it had something wrong with it. Periodically, they will push out over the network updates to the computers, and that's how they want them to go on, instead of us updating Java every time, because there's like 5,000 updates for Java in a year. Instead of updating Java every time, they'll push down the priority ones that they want us to use, and it basically just if the computer's connected to the network, it'll automatically download it and do it.
Let's see, how do you manage software installation for all the computers in this building?
Unless it's a update that the district has pushed out, a lot of times when I re-image a machine because the operating system got corrupted or something, or if we purchase something new, that's about the only time that I actually physically will install stuff, because the district does most of that when we get the computers.
Do you have any troubleshooting techniques you use when you're working with the technology issues that we're having in our building?
Turn it off, turn it back on. that doesn't work, I'll unplug it, pull the battery out, let it set for a couple of minutes, and then plug it back in and try to start it up. From there, if it starts up, I'll start it up and see if I can't get it to recreate. Some of them will overheat, or they make some noise like they're about to lift off into outer space.
And I know you said you do re-imaging of them too, if you need to.
Yeah,
Is there any specific problems that pop up more often than not?
the network, we have horrible issues with our network. The wireless goes in and out, and case in point, I put a work order in for it the week before last week. They came out on Wednesday of last week, tested it when no one was in the building, so the system wasn't being loaded down. Tested it, said there was no problems, and closed the ticket. But on any given day, you can walk around, and the wireless routers, there's one for every 2 classrooms. You can't connect to half of them.
Is the district usually pretty good when you put in work orders to getting somebody out here for the major stuff?
Yeah, they're good about sending somebody out. It doesn't always get things fixed, but they're good about sending somebody out.
I know you just talked a little bit about our school's network. If you kind of had to sum up the network in a few words, what would you say about it?
Problematic. Not trustworthy.
Have we had any upgrades to our network recently?
Yeah, a year ago, we replaced the wireless access points, so there was one for every 4 classrooms. And because they told us we were having so many issues, they said this will fix it. So we did that. Things worked fairly good, and then due to the audit that they did last year, they came back at the end of the school year and said now they wanted us to have one for every 2 classrooms. So they said, we'll pay for X amount of it, you guys have to pay this part. This will make it even better. We've had nothing but issues since then.
So right now, do we have one router for every 2 classrooms?
Yeah. We spent a lot of money, like over $10,000 in the last year, and it's made it worse.
Do you know of any strategies that the staff is using to maximize the technology use in our building?
There's several teachers that are on the UDL, or have you participating in the UDL grant. A lot of teachers have old desktops in their room for the kids to use during class. Some teachers have bought personal devices out of their own pocket to bring in for their class to use. So there's a lot of people using different strategies throughout the building.
Are there any upcoming plans to add any significant technology to the building, say in the next year or two?
Yeah, I think so. I'm supposed to meet with the technology committee within the next week or so. I was out last week sick. We were going to discuss purchasing new iPads and actually buying enough to have a cart of 30 iPads that would be available to check out, replacing some of the projectors and some other computers that needed to be swapped out.
I would just say on a scale of like 1 to 10, 10 being the latest and greatest technology, where would you rate our school on having access to the latest technology?
Well, if you're just going off the computer labs, probably an 8. But everybody doesn't have access to the computer labs. If you're going off the computer to student ratio, we're at like 5, because we're less than well, it's more than 2 kids per 1 computer that we have in the building. It's like
Okay, we need to get our ILT meeting started, so please make your way to the library if you're on ILT. Thank you.
We have, somewhere around 150 desktops.
just a little bit over that,
Yeah.
and roughly 900 and some odd kids, so it's like 3 to 1 or a little over 3 to 1. The ideal thing would be 2 to 1.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I appreciate your help. Thank you, Stephen, and that's all we have for today.